Hello and welcome to the Midnight Bible Study. Today I want to talk about the first lying spirit. The first lying spirit. I'm going to be talking about 7 monsters, and this is going to be the first monster, which is the first lying spirit. And they're monsters because they're lying spirits because they prod us and urge us to commit the 7 capital sins. And in fact, the late Bishop Fulton Sheen referred to them as the pallbearers of the soul. So you can imagine what a pallbearers do is they're carrying the body to the grave. And that's what these lying spirits do to us. They whisper lies into our spirit and cause us to make poor decisions and commit sins. Sometimes we don't realize we're committing these sins, and as a result, if we don't get control of this dark and horrific pattern and combat these horrific monsters that are the pallbearers of our soul, then make no mistake, our soul is in jeopardy. So the first lying spirit I want to talk about is the spirit of pride. Now, just to emphasize how subtle and evil these lying spirits are, and how deceitful and tricky they are, I have to admit, when I began doing research for this little talk tonight, I wasn't really expecting pride was an issue for me, because in some ways I've been humbled greatly in life, and I didn't really feel pride. But when I started looking at the subtleties of the spirit of pride, I was shocked to find out that I'm going to have something to talk about when I go to confession tomorrow, and that'll be confession with a priest. So the spirit of pride is a mortal enemy. It is the greatest of sins. In fact, it was the sin that caused the angels to fall and Lucifer to be cast out of heaven, when he said, "Non servio, I will not serve." And so that they were cast out of. That's when the beautiful angel Lucifer, the greatest of all angels, was cast out of heaven and humiliated in a sense. I don't think he was humbled, but he was certainly cast out of heaven. So this is the sin most hated by God. So if we have any pride, any spirit of pride, whispering to us to make bad decisions, know that we're in mortal danger of our soul. For now, how does the spirit of pride, the lying spirit of pride, how does it play on us? One of the ways it does is it plays on our self-centeredness, and it whispers lies to us about how we need to get more attention, and how we should not put up with things, and we get irritable and touchy and easily offended, and don't take that, you don't have to put up with that, get even, and give them what they deserve, and so it's this touchiness and this spirit of self-centeredness and an over focus on self, and the lying spirit of pride likes to goad us with self-centeredness. Now, another way the spirit of pride likes to these spirits are very, very crafty, and they will encourage our self-will, and so we tend to be argumentative and overbearing in pushing our opinions, and inflated with a sense of superiority over others, and willing to offend the rights of others, and so. The lying spirit can go, prove that you're smarter than they are, and to show them that they're wrong, and don't take that. So these are ways we don't even realize that this is going on, but we're being lied to in our spirit by these lying spirits. Now, some people tend to be melancholic, they have a depressing, they may be facing some kind of depression, and that may seem like the opposite of pride. In fact, they may have a very low self-esteem and self-pity. But this can also be taken advantage of by a lying spirit by goading them with oversensitivity, so that they react to things. They react to things like, I don't have to take that. And harboring resentment against others, bitterness and unforgiveness. And we all know that those who will not forgive, God will not forgive, which is extremely concerning. Harboring grudges because of some perceived wrong. That a lying spirit is fanning these flames of resentment and bitterness. So we need to be very careful about the sort of thoughts that are going through our minds, the whispers of a lying spirit, goading our bitterness and our resentment and suspicion towards others, and even hostility. So at this point, on a subtle level, I have some things I'm going to be considering for when I go to confession, because these are serious. These are the 7 capital sins. This is no joke, as Fulton Sheen said. These are these 7 lying spirits are the pallbearers. They fuel sin, and they're the pallbearers of the soul. So you can't get much more serious than that. A sense of superiority is an easy one for many times for the lying spirit to think, oh well, I'm better than he is. Well, what lying spirit is whispering those kind of prideful thoughts? You're better than he is. Look at him. Look at the and the critical, looking for ways that you're superior to others, and having a critical spirit. Very, very common, a critical spirit. Not a good thing. So the pride of independence and self-will can be refusal to get advice from anyone, or even blasphemy against God, because you know that everything, total self-independence. The pride of ambition, when we are overly eager to get off positions of power, so that we can control others. The pride of overconfidence, so we overestimate our abilities, so that we want positions that we may not even be the best person for, but we think we're so good that we deserve them more than somebody else, even when somebody else maybe is more qualified. The pride of spiritual vanity, when we find all kinds of excuses to minimize our sins, or a voice is whispering to us 1,000 excuses why these sins really are no big deal at all. In fact, maybe right now someone's going, well, these really aren't a big deal. That's the subtlety of evil, is the subtlety of the whispering spirit, that we at our own peril let this go on. We practice no restraint in our behavior, no modesty, no respect, and even greed, because we feel we are so deserving that greed is even okay. You deserve it. You deserve it more than they do. Why are you going to put up with this? We have to be very careful of the subtle lying spirits. The first lying spirit, the spirit of pride, which manifests itself in so many different ways, which makes it almost you could almost see how this could be almost a constant attack. And these are all subtle attacks that we may not even be aware of, that we're being lied to by the spirit of pride in 100 different ways. And we don't even realize that this is taking place. We think this is just our own entitlement, that we are entitled to all these things. Now, pride can make us cynical, that we become ridiculing others and think the worst of people. And that can become too much. So we need to be careful about cynicism, and this is subtle, and it's easy one to fall into because we see a lot of things going on. Pharisaical pride leads us to boastfulness, that we're better than others, we're more holy than others, and we feel superior to others of lower social rank, lower education, lower status, and just generally inferior because we think we're sort of a little better than they are, and frankly, maybe we're a little better than a lot of people in some cases, or that's called this Pharisaical pride. Oh, that little voice whispering that they're not up to our standard. So the pallbearer of the soul, the voice, the subtle whispering voice of pride that goads our sensitivity. We become oversensitive and over anxious about what others think of us because we're focused on ourselves and we're just overly focused on ourselves and sensitive about what others think of us. The pride of timidity, where we have unreasonable fears about the opinions of others. It's called self-focus, self-centeredness. Okay? And we need to be careful about this self-centeredness. It's a subtle pride that masks itself as fear, which could give us the idea that what we have is inferiority, which can actually be a kind of self-centered overindulgence in self-centeredness. Whispered, constant taunts by the spirit of pride. Our pride may be centered on wealth and prosperity. And many people may have issues with this. Our beauty or our strength. These are things that we need to watch out for pride in these areas. Pride goeth before the fall. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before the fall. If that doesn't frighten you, I don't know what will, because this fall could be all the way. All the way. We cannot heed the whispers, the little subtle whispers that fan the flames of our pride, because they are aimed at our destruction. And how do we remedy pride? We need to practice humility. That's what we need to do. The humble man realizes that he is proud. So realize that we have some pride, even if we don't tend to be especially, we don't come across, or we don't see ourselves as especially proud. But if after all the things I just mentioned, certainly some of those, at least myself, hit home a little bit on a subtle level. So it's the subtleness of it that is actually the greatest concern, because we might not realize the things that are separating us from God, and God hates the proud and is the enemy of the proud. So that's why this is serious business. So the humble man realizes that he is proud, and he practices humility. So there you go. There you go. That's the first lying spirit, the spirit of pride, with its goal to be the pallbearer of your soul all the way to doom. So I'm going to be covering over the next several videos, I'm going to be talking about the other pallbearers of the soul, the other lying spirits. There you go. That's tonight's Midnight Bible study. So God bless you, and good night.